Hey, welcome back to another episode of Bad Movie Night. My name's Chris. Tonight I'm checking out a little horror comedy called It Cuts Deep. This is director Nicholas Santos' feature debut. So the movie's about a couple who goes back to this guy's family house from when he was a kid, and they have kind of a strained relationship, and then he runs into an old friend who is added into the mix and kind of adds more of a strain to the relationship. And then jokes happen and the movie ends. So, yeah, you can probably tell me my attitude. I didn't really like this. Didn't really like this at all. And I could probably tell that right off the bat because this humor really doesn't work for me. Just repeating something is not funny, is not funny, is not funny, is not funny. See? It's not funny. Maybe it was funny. Like, there's like that old Family Guy sketch. You remember that? Where it was like, Mom, Mom, Mom. That was like funny the first time. It's not funny anymore.
I'll get the wood.
Yeah.
It's no problem. I can do it.
No, I said I'd get the wood, so I'll get the wood.
I'm just offering to get...
Yeah. And I'm declining the offer to get the wood.
You should just let him get the wood.
I'll get the wood.
And that's so repetitive. All the jokes. So many jokes in this movie are so cringy to me. It's just not my sense of humor. So if it is, then that's cool, and you probably get a lot out of this movie. It feels like this mumblecore indie dramedy thing, but it's a character movie, but it relies on some of the worst characters, most annoying characters I've ever seen in a movie. This main character, played by Charles Gould, starts out introduced as one of the most childish, annoying guy, man, I can't talk. And there's already this strain on their relationship. They're just dating, but they've been dating for a while, it seems like. And he refuses to take like anything remotely seriously, which is a problem because this is a movie based on characters. It's not nearly the horror movie it's advertised as. The director posted in the horror subreddit about his feature horror debut. I don't even know if I count this as horror. It's more of a comedy. It has some horror elements, but we'll get to it. So like that's a good transition actually. Horror comedy. What's a great horror comedy? The classic, Shaun of the Dead. In some ways, this movie is very similar because they're both about these like adult man babies who refuse to grow up. But the difference here is that in Shaun of the Dead, he's super endearing, and sure, he has his flaws that, he is in some ways not growing up, but you're rooting for him the whole time because he's likable. And in this movie, they went the complete other route where you despise this character from the onset and he just becomes more and more annoying and unlikable throughout the entire movie. And some of it makes sense by the end, but that doesn't make it for an enjoyable experience at all. And it just, I'm so tired. It's like a fucking 90s sitcom or something where it's all these men are, man babies, and all the women are like, want to be married. And it's like, I don't know if that's real anymore. Like, people have their own agency, and sure, if this woman really wants to be married, that's cool, but it's clearly not going to be with this dude, because he's refusing to act like an adult in any sort of way. So it's toxic and it's gross, and it makes for a bad viewing experience again. And I guess that does roll into the theme of the movie by the end, but for the first, 70 minutes of this 75-minute long movie, it's not fun and it's not entertaining. It's just annoying. So then they introduce this other guy, Nolan, who is a bit more charismatic, the actor is, and the character is, although he kind of comes off as like Jim Carrey in The Cable Guy. However, we are seeing all these interactions through the main character's point of view, so it's hard to tell what is reality and what isn't. There's a heightened sense of things, and obviously some of it isn't real. But that also then adds to some of the issues with the movie insofar as its horror elements, because some of these sequences between these two men who are kind of vying for the same woman, I think are supposed to be tension-filled. However, they feel completely void of any tension. And instead, it's hard to tell if it's supposed to be funny, if it's supposed to be scary, or if it's supposed to be nothing, because I felt nothing throughout any of it. It was like cringy more than anything else. If that's what they were going for, then they nailed that. The production quality's okay. I mean, the movie looks fine. It doesn't have much style. It's pretty straightforward. Everything's in focus. The coloring is fine. When it gets to the horror moments, The lighting is still pretty straight on standard, so like nothing was impressive. It's just fine. It kind of feels devoid of style. Then the sound design is okay. All that stuff is okay. The music, sometimes there's like these indie mumblecore transitional montage moments where it's playing these indie music. That style of music just so goes against horror for me. And that's the problem when they're trying to make a horror comedy and it's like, I don't know, 80% comedy, and then it tries to get to the horror moments. It feels segregated. It doesn't feel like they're building and working and complementing each other. It just feels like, okay, now we're out of comedy. This is supposed to be horror. Gotcha. But like I said, because we get our point of view from this main character, and most of it is supposed to be funny, it's hard to take anything seriously, even when it's horror or drama. It just leaves me confused tonally, like what I'm supposed to be feeling during the movie. There's a twist by the end, however, it's so obvious that it might as well not even be considered a twist. And then a lot of the movie turns into very repetitive sequences where these two men have some sort of moment where they talk, and it adds to the drama between our lead and his girlfriend, where they get into a fight, and it happens like 3 times, and it just gets so old and repetitive. Man, it's so weird. This movie's like 75 minutes long, and it feels like it's filled with like 50 minutes of filler. And then during that, it's like confusing and unfocused with its tone, so it's just a bizarre movie. So yeah, I obviously was not a fan of this. Did not like it at all. I'm trying to think of like some of the positives that did stick out for me, and I can't really think of anything because the comedy didn't work, the horror really didn't work, the drama, I could care less about these characters because besides this drama they add between this dynamic of the three, the characters are so one-dimensional and not deep at all. Like I said, they kind of feel like archetypes from a 90s sitcom or something like that. It's just, so it cuts deep. However, the only deepness that it cut was into my ass. That doesn't make any sense. So, I don't think I liked it, if you can get that from this. But if you liked it, let me know what you think down below. Maybe I'm just being really harsh on it because I just really didn't like the comedy. It was so cringy to me. But maybe this comedy works for you and you really enjoyed this thing. That's cool if you did. I didn't. So, it cuts deep. It's out now on VOD. You can rent it. But let me know what you think, and then let me know what I should be watching, and I'll catch you here next time. Goodbye.